She walked into the Jiu-Jitsu academy with quiet confidence in her step, 6 years of training under her belt, yet the whispers started before she even stepped on the mat. What's she doing here? Does she even know what Jiu-Jitsu is? Until she locked in that triangle choke and the black belt tapped in just 14 seconds. Jasmine Carter stood outside Elite Jiu-Jitsu Academy, her gym bag slung over one shoulder, heart beating steady against her ribcage. She'd researched this place for weeks, reading reviews, watching competition videos, studying the credentials of the head instructor. This was supposed to be the best academy in the city, a place where serious practitioners trained, a place where she could finally be challenged. But first, you will have 7 days of good luck if you like and subscribe within 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and don't forget to subscribe. She took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The familiar scent of athletic tape and sweat welcomed her like an old friend. The mats were crowded with students, some drilling techniques in pairs, others rolling at various intensities. Jasmine noticed immediately that she was the only woman in the advanced class, and definitely the only black woman in the entire gym. She approached the front desk, where a muscular man with a shaved head was scrolling through his phone. "Excuse me," she said. "I called earlier about joining the advanced class." The man looked up, eyes quickly scanning her from head to toe, an assessment she had grown used to over the years. "You sure you're in the right place?" he asked, not bothering to hide his skepticism. "The beginner's class is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Jasmine smiled politely, though something tightened in her chest. "I've been training for 6 years, she said. "I have my purple belt under Professor Marcus Chan." She mentioned the name deliberately, knowing that her former instructor was well respected in the jiu-jitsu community. The man's eyebrows raised slightly. "Chin? Huh? Good instructor." He pushed a waiver form toward her. "Fill this out. Class starts in 5 minutes. Jasmine took the paper, her handwriting neat and precise. She could feel eyes on her as she wrote, curious glances from the mat, some dismissive, some just surprised. She changed quickly in the women's locker room, which looked barely used compared to the men's, her purple belt tied securely around her black gi. She stepped onto the mats and began to stretch, creating her own small island in the corner. No one approached her. No one welcomed her, just occasional glances and whispered comments. Is she really a purple belt? Probably one of those McDojo places. Bet she can't last 5 minutes with any of us. Jasmine had heard it all before. She kept her eyes forward, focused on her breathing. This wasn't her first time being underestimated, and she knew it wouldn't be her last. The head instructor, a stocky man with a salt and pepper beard and black belt, clapped his hands to gather the class. "All right, everyone, circle up." The students formed a ring around him. Jasmine took her place in the circle, feeling the subtle shift as students created extra space on either side of her. "We've got a new face today," the instructor said, gesturing toward Jasmine without asking her name. "Let's show her what elite jiu-jitsu is all about." There was something in his tone, something that made Jasmine's spine straighten. This wasn't going to be a warm welcome. They began with drilling a sequence of techniques that Jasmine had practiced hundreds of times before. Armbar from guard, transition to triangle switch to omoplata if defended, basic combinations for advanced practitioners. She was paired with a blue belt, a lanky college-aged kid who clearly didn't want to be her partner. "Just so you know," he said under his breath. As they began the drill, "We don't take it easy on new people here." Jasmine nodded, keeping her expression neutral. "I wouldn't expect you to," she replied as they drilled. She could feel his resistance increasing with each repetition. What should have been a technical practice gradually becoming a test of strength, a common tactic used against women to compensate for lack of technique. Jasmine adjusted accordingly, using leverage instead of force, completing each movement with precision. "Not bad," he said grudgingly. After a while, though, she could tell he was surprised by how easily she handled his increasing resistance around them. Others were noticing too, watching her technique from the corners of their eyes, some with surprise, others still skeptical. After drilling came sparring, 5-minute rounds. The instructor announced, "Rotate partners after each bell." Jasmine's first partner was a white belt, tall and athletic, probably a former wrestler. He came at her aggressively from the start, attempting to use his strength advantage. Jasmine stayed calm, controlled her breathing, let him wear himself out with explosive movements before sweeping him from half guard, taking his back with textbook precision, securing a rear naked choke so cleanly that several people stopped their own rolls to watch. The white belt tapped, face flushed with embarrassment. "Lucky move," Someone muttered nearby. Jasmine helped her partner up. "Good roll," she said sincerely. The white belt nodded. Avoiding eye contact, the bell rang, and partners rotated. Her next opponent was a purple belt. Like her, but his approach was different. More technical. They engaged in a chess match of positions, guard passes countered by sweeps, submission attempts carefully defended. By the end of the 5 minutes, they were at a stalemate. Both breathing hard. "Nice techniques," he said. The first genuine compliment she'd received since arriving. "Thanks," she replied. "You too." The atmosphere shifted slightly, some of the initial skepticism giving way to curiosity about this newcomer who clearly knew what she was doing. Still, Jasmine could feel the resistance, the unwillingness to fully accept her presence, as if her skill was somehow an anomaly rather than the result of years of dedicated training. After several more rounds, her muscles warm and loose, now her confidence growing with each exchange. The instructor called everyone to gather again. "Let's finish with some challenge matches," he said, scanning the room with a calculating eye. "Carter," he pointed at Jasmine, using her last name from the waiver form. "You're up first." Jasmine stood, adjusting her belt, ready for whatever test was coming. "Brooks," the instructor continued, "you're with her." A hush fell over the academy as a tall, powerfully built man stepped forward, his black belt worn and frayed from years of use. Jason Brooks was the academy's competition coach, a former national champion with a reputation for being merciless on the mats. Jasmine had seen his name during her research, had watched videos of his competition highlights, knew exactly who she was facing. Someone snickered from the sidelines. "This should be quick, 10 seconds, tops. Poor girl doesn't know what's coming." Brooks himself said nothing, just took his position across from Jasmine, his face impassive, eyes focused, sizing her up like any other opponent. The instructor stood between them. "Submission only," he announced. "No time limit." He stepped back and signaled for them to begin. Brooks didn't rush in, he was too experienced for that. Instead, he circled slowly, looking for an opening. Testing her reactions, Jasmine matched his movements, keeping her stance balanced. Hands up, ready to engage, but not overeager. The academy had gone completely silent, all eyes fixed on the match, some waiting for Brooks to make quick work of her, others simply curious to see how long she would last. Brooks made the first move, shooting for a double leg takedown, his timing perfect, his execution flawless. But Jasmine had anticipated this, had seen this exact technique in his competition videos. She sprawled backward, hips heavy, defending the takedown, while simultaneously wrapping her arm under his chin as they hit the mat. She was already transitioning to take his back. Brooks reacted instantly, rolling to defend, creating space, but Jasmine stayed connected, her body moving in perfect harmony with his as he turned. She adjusted her legs, climbing high on his torso, setting up a high guard position. Someone gasped from the sidelines. This wasn't how they expected the match to go. Brooks was on the defensive, trying to pass a guard that seemed impenetrable. Jasmine locked her ankles behind his back, controlling his posture, while simultaneously working her grips on one of his arms. Brooks recognized the danger, tried to posture up to break her control, but in that moment of movement, Jasmine saw her opportunity. She released her ankles, shooting her right leg up and over his shoulder, while her left leg pressed against his neck, her right foot locking behind her left knee. The triangle choke was locked in perfectly, her angle tight, her technique flawless. Brooks tried to stack her, to create pressure, tried to pass the leg, to find an escape, but Jasmine adjusted again, pulling his trapped arm across her body, increasing the pressure on his carotid arteries, cutting off the blood flow to his brain. The entire sequence took just 14 seconds from the initial engagement to the final submission. Brooks recognized the futility of resistance and tapped firmly on her leg. The silence that followed was absolute. No one moved. No one spoke. The impossible had just happened. The academy's champion, their black belt instructor, had been submitted by the newcomer, the woman they had all underestimated. Jasmine released the hold immediately, helping Brooks to sit up, showing respect. "Good roll," she said quietly. Brooks nodded, meeting her eyes. "Perfect setup," he acknowledged, professional enough to recognize skill regardless of who had demonstrated it. From the edges of the mat came a slow clap, then another, and another, until most of the class had joined in, not thunderous applause, but recognition, acknowledgement that they had witnessed something they hadn't expected to see. Head instructor stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "Where did you say you trained before?" he asked, his tone different now, respectful. "Under Marcus Chun," Jasmine replied, standing tall, belt secure around her waist. "For 6 years. Before that, collegiate wrestling." The instructor nodded slowly. "We train hard here," he said, No special treatment for anyone. Jasmine met his gaze steadily. I wouldn't want any, she replied later as she changed in the locker room replaying the session in her mind. The door opened and a young woman peeked in, hesitant, nervous, clutching a white belt. Excuse me, she said softly. I saw what happened. I've been wanting to join but wasn't sure if this was the right place for me. Jasmine smiled, recognizing herself from 6 years ago, uncertain but determined. Class starts at 6 tomorrow, she said. I'll be here early if you want some help with the basics. The woman's face brightened with relief. I'd like that, she said. Thank you. As Jasmine walked out of the academy, she noticed Brooks in the parking lot loading his gear into his car. He looked up as she approached. You know, he said without preamble, we need more competition-level grapplers here. He extended his hand. Hope to see you Thursday for advanced training. Jasmine shook his hand firmly. Wouldn't miss it, she replied. She drove home with the windows down, evening air cooling her still warm skin, thinking about all the mats she'd stepped on, all the skeptical looks she'd endured, all the times she'd had to prove herself over and over and over again. Tomorrow, she would return, would face new challenges. New skeptics, would have to earn respect all over again. Such was the reality she had grown accustomed to. But tonight, just for tonight, she allowed herself to savor the sweetness of 14 perfect seconds when all doubts were silenced, all judgments suspended, and nothing mattered except the purity of technique, the years of dedication, the quiet confidence that no one could take away. If this story inspired you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful moments that remind us all why we never stop fighting for our rightful place.